Hello, my name is Timothy Beahm, and I farm with my wife Julie, and we also have 5 children that help out on the farm. The farm name is Beahm Family Farm. We sell primarily grass finished beef is our primary product. We also do some pork and poultry as well. This is I think a February picture of the cattle grazing through some light snow. Time when most people are out feeding hay. That's kind of what our farm looks like. So when I was asked to speak a little bit about our farm and grass finished beef, you gotta ask, when is beef finished? How much fat are we looking for? Well, that really depends on the market you're raising it for. My goal is tender, juicy, marbled steaks for a good, flavorful eating experience and enough fat on the carcass to make it dry age well. So a little bit more about our farm, kind of our production model. It's definitely a low input approach, and this allows a lot more flexibility, kind of regardless of your size, whether it's 5 or 500 cattle. We have no haying infrastructure or equipment, and as the reason behind that is because the cost of equipment is continually going up and multiplying compared to the value of farm products. So another one of our goals is to be sustainable and improving the land for the future through good pasture management. We have been able to improve a lot of our pastures just through some good pasture management and grass management. Along with the low input is kind of a low stocking rate model. At the peak of our during the part of the season where we have the highest stocking rate, which is the spring and the summer, we're still running about 2 acres per stocker. Start butchering, around June normally, after the spring grass fattens the cattle up, and continue to butcher through the year, and that continues to reduce our pasture stocking rate for the tougher months of late summer that come when it's harder to keep good grass in front of the cattle. And then we also butcher more again before winter to allow the grass stockpile that we have to last until spring. So the flexible stocking rate really allows us to not be dependent on hay so much. Just kind of with this, there's no mud lots to deal with. A lot of farmers are plowing through knee-deep mud in February or March, feeding cattle, and we don't have any of that. Some about our cattle: we use more heifers than steers. They do fatten more easily and reliably. We use mostly kind of an Angus base mixed with Hereford and Simmental. I really like the crossbred cattle. Spring, we have our 850 to 1,000 pound cattle from the previous season, and we buy or wean calves to add to that. So we have like a kind of a mix of that 500 to 600 pound weaned calves along with our heavier stockers from the previous year. Kind of run them in a blended herd, and that's what we stock at about 2 acres per head. As I already mentioned, we kind of butcher the older cattle throughout the summer and fall, reducing the stocking rate for winter, matching our stocking rate to our feed. Over a 365-day period, our weight gains typically average about that 1 pound to 1.5 pounds per day, and that primarily that wide range is just due to genetics. You can put 2 600-pound calves out to pasture, and a year later there's a 200-pound weight difference in them, even on a similar framed cattle. So still genetics has a huge part to play in it. The heifers, we pretty much can start to butcher them after they hit 1,000 pounds. Some of them are closer to 1,200 pounds or 1,100 pounds when we butcher them. It just kind of depends on the frame of the cattle and when they're finished. The lanky, bigger frame cattle take longer to finish, but they typically finish a little heavier. About our pasture, it's pretty much a fescue-based pasture with other mixed grasses like orchard grass in it, and we do have a lot of spring clover, and that really drives the spring weight gains in the cattle. We have a low stocking rate, and that, I believe, really allows us to keep the gains up because the cattle are very efficient at picking out the best that's out there to eat. So in the spring, if the grass gets ahead of me or ahead of the cattle, and we cannot suppress the heading of the grass, then I will just clip the spring grass off, about 10 inches high after grazing it lightly. And this is a time of year most people are making hay on their surplus pasture. I clip it. And the fodder, from clipping it, shades the soil, cycles back to the nutrients, and what it does kind of guarantee is a good midsummer grass even during dry spells. Helps keep it from going dormant in the summer because we end up with the kind of a laid over mat of grass. It helps trap the moisture. And I also believe that your spring management of your pastures really sets you up for success or failure in the rest of the year. Our best gains come April through June and October through January. Here's a picture of some March stockpile that grazed, and you can see the new grass coming through the mat of the old grass, and that little bit of green helps keep the cattle interested in it. And here's a picture of some early May or late April pasture. As you can see, it's not really great pasture. It's kind of a poor area of the farm, but allowing the cattle to just take the best off, they still end up doing pretty good on it. It can be a struggle if you don't have your own market, because if you're after good natural grass-raised weaned calves to finish, well, you're probably going to have to pay a premium for them. And if you finish those calves out into finished cattle and try to sell them at a regular public auction, you're probably going to be hit with a big price penalty. My conclusion is that direct marketing is pretty much required for success on the smaller farms. It's definitely going to impact their perception of grass-finished beef. Well, thanks for taking some time out of your day to hear about our farm. I hope it was helpful. And I believe they're going to open up for some questions here shortly. Thanks a lot.